Hey everybody, it's Marty the JavaScript Party. I'm my buddy Rhett. We just had a brutal debugging session. No fun at all. I guess it makes sense. Maybe I didn't implement uh, something because of not being too sure how things were going to go in the future. But man, sometimes you kick the can down the road, and then the future is now, and it's rough. Also, I'm not feeling particularly well. I got some sort of sinus infection and things like that. So, um, but I'm hoping to knock this one out pretty quick. This video. It looks like I don't remember. I used to watch like last week's video before I worked on this week's, but this time I just didn't feel like it. But I think that this is pretty cool. This when you come in here, you see this red thing, and the API it like found it that there's something wrong, and then we look down here and we see that process locally is now there. So that's pretty cool. And I believe that if I add process locally to the list now, to the expected properties list, I don't even know what file we're in. And apparently we're in a weird view, so let me go into a regular view. I know, Rhett. I know. It's been going a long time, huh? Um, I don't think she's feeling particularly well either. Um, so she's a bit grumpy. She's grumpy. So I'm gonna hit save, and what I'm hoping is that's gonna go away. I'm not going. I definitely want to undo that. I just want to double check that this code works as expected. Yeah. So that is exactly what we're hoping for. Sure. Woo! Woo! So sometimes things work. Um, I guess the next step is ow. Normally I don't think that would hurt, but with my sinus infection, it just hurt a little bit, like a sharp pain right there in the ear. Um, hey, yeah, I'm doing a video. Okay, as long as you're being sweet. All right. So I think what the next step will be is to add this, and I had decided that not only do I want to add this, but I also do want to add another API value that I had not done before, and that's this continuous. I think I always hard code continuous. So I want to add two new things into this pop-up. And I don't believe that process locally works, but I don't know. And that's going to be one of the nice things is it's going to be pretty easy to test. Um, that because what I could do is disconnect my computer from the network, uh, and then and then try it and see if it works. Because right now, let's just do that real quick. Um, so I'm disconnecting my wireless. I don't think there's any consequences to this video from doing that. Hit the button. So I believe I am offline. So let's go back over here to, oh, I'm indiscreet. Hello, how are you? Yeah, see nothing. And so now if I get back online, I turn that on, and I don't know why I even have Bluetooth on. I kind of want to turn it off, but I can't imagine it being a problem. So I'm back on the network. Hello. Let's see, it's working. So supposedly, if I turn this, if I use this and if I set this new value down here, um, process locally, if I set that to true, then it would use the local um, instead of the instead of the uh, going to the cloud. But who knows? And it might be even more complicated. and it might work for you and it might not. And even if it works for me, it may not work for you. Apparently, this is something that um, the powers that be can turn on and off through a flag on an individual by individual basis. So I suspect this was added for sensitive um, environments where uh, like government environments and stuff like that. That would be my guess. Is that's what this? And it may not even have even been implemented for the United States of America. It might have been implemented for another country or something like that. There's just no telling. But I guess it is good though, like to know that someone cares. Like uh, that this is actually somebody is using this apparently, using this technology. So that's good to know. Um, but uh, anyways, so basically we need to figure out where this um, pop-up comes in, and I'm guessing it's a component. Oh, actually, I know it's a component, but and this has a very simple. There's not a whole lot of moving parts to this, to the architecture of this. I would imagine if I just look in the component. I wonder if I should commit this uh, indicator. I think I should. I think I should commit and push the indicator um, code. All right, so let's go and do that. That looks nice. And then, yeah, this was very unfortunate that I had to do um, like this goofy stuff because for some reason that like the emitter just wasn't working um, from this component. I don't really know why. Um, but I just got like I was hoping to do like a 20-minute, 30, 25-minute video, and then it ended up being like an hour and a half. I finally just went with a service. So it looks like that's the only change is adding this, and I think that's what drives this guy here. And then inside of so these little I made little components for these little guys, and that's what I've been doing. So I just kind of stuck with it. And this is good code, so I don't want to lose this code. This is just my TypeScript for my new API component, and I don't think I use this. And this is the kind of thing that, like, if you leave something like this, API component change found, that if you leave something like this, it can be insanely confusing to new to anyone who's trying to follow you, right? So I initially attempted to use an output emitter, and then it didn't work for me, and I don't know why. I'm befuddled on why that didn't work for me, but I finally gave up and just created a service to do the same work, and just left it at that. Now, anyone who would come in and look at this would think, oh, okay, they use this change found emitter, and but actually what I do is I update this speech service and I don't ever admit it. So that would be very, very confusing to any new developer coming in trying to work on this stuff. So I strongly, and not only that, but as a new developer coming in, you're it's very scary to try to delete like unused code like this, because you don't actually know for sure if you're going to catch whatever got broken. And then, like, let's say that this was in fact being used. It didn't seem like it was being used, but it was in fact being used. And then it kind of looks like you're like sabotaging things, So you really don't want to put something like that. Nothing, unless you're like trying to just make things hard for the other developers coming up, which is uncool, bro. Don't do that. Try to be cool to the other developers. I know that times are tough and it's hard to A, when you're a developer, it's hard to keep a job, and B, it's hard to find a job. So like I know it's very tempting to like try to make things hard for other developers, but it it's not a good way to live. You don't want to live that way. Um, but I don't know. I guess I'm maybe judging that on my own, like in my context. Maybe your context is different. I remember working with this guy from the Dominican Republic, and like he swore to me he wasn't going to do a commit. I'm not going to. We were working together. We're working very closely on things, and I was like, okay, if you commit before me, it's really going to screw things up in Git. So please wait till I commit, and then when you commit, it'll fold in very nicely. But if we do it the other way around, things are going to get really screwed up. And then he committed, and he was like, I freaking blew my lid. Um, and but then I didn't even think about it, but like I have a lot of protections as an employee, as an American citizen and employed in America. That's probably the main reason that they try to bring people on H-1Bs, because H-1Bs and those things, like they don't have the same protections that I have. Um, so I have a lot of protections, and in Dominic, he probably didn't have those protections. So I was judging him, but he was told to do it by. It was odd because he was a middle developer, maybe a senior developer. I think he was a senior developer, and the guy who told him to do it was a junior developer, which was bizarre. But the guy who told him to do it seemed to have a lot of pull around there. But anyways, let me commit this. So like if you have to write code that messes everybody up, I guess you got to do what you got to do. But if you don't have to do that, don't do that. Um, it's just a really mean thing to do. Git commit dash m, and what video is this one? Video 130. Shows API indicator for API unexpected API changes. Boom, boom, boom. Git push. All right. So next we want to and again, like I mentioned this. Oh no, I hate it when I do that. What change do I have? Okay, the only change is this line here. I removed a new line. Okay, let's just go ahead and discard that change. All right, here we go. Here we go. All right, so we have our indicators component. Oh, see, settings dialog. So all that. I've been trying to think a lot more in architectural mindset. I did not think that in here, so this architecture is a bit wonky. It's kind of funny because once I started thinking about things in an architecture context, this suddenly became hideous to me, because this speech service really should be in there, and like the architecture is clearly was not considered, and it was weird because I was very numb and unaware of that before. But anyways, I'm going to open this dialog HTML, and I'm going to close everything else. And first things first, let's look. Okay, so it looks like we actually use Angular form controls. Reactive forms, I think, is what it's called. So we kind of need to start in here. Now there's a lot of changes in forms, like in happening right now in Angular, because they're updating them for signals. So I think it's gonna be a lot better after that, but we did not do that here. We used like traditional. Oh no, we're using signals, but see, we're using signals to update the forms. We're not using signal form signals, and I don't quite understand that. There was like this week there was a live session that I'll probably watch next week sometime. But where is our form though? Oh, here we go. Here's our configuration form. It has 3 things in it right now. So let's go ahead and add 2 more. And one of them is process locally. I love you too. And see, like right now where I don't have any like architecture, it's not particularly obvious like what this configure, like what is happening. So it looks like speed. So I guess it is. So in this, it looks like in this service, I actually have a special property for every individual thing, which isn't that big of a deal because there's only a few. There's only a couple, but if there was hundreds, it would be a problem. Now, I think we want this to be true or false, but right now we don't have that. So form control, and I'm just going to set that to true. So basically, I'm saying that the value processed locally by default. Oh, actually, I probably should be false. It's false. And I believe the other one is called no. I think interim results. Interim results is the other one. And that one, I believe. Oh man, I think for one of them it's true, and for one of them it's false normally. So this is going to make things. I don't know how the best way to do this. I was about to sneeze. Like I said, I'm not feeling particularly well. I'm trying to figure out if I can, how hard it is to mute anyone. Yeah, so that's not what I want. But it looks like the desire to sneeze passed. So right now what happens is I believe for discrete, I default to false, and for true, or for continuous, I default to true. And for some reason, I thought it didn't quite work unless you do that. I guess it's good. It's good to have that right in your face. So interim results, I'm going to say the default is new. I'm just going to say it's false. So that means the application is going to work a little differently now, because basically right now what happens is if you go in as a continuous, you get it true. And for some reason, I think at least early on, and I don't know if that's still the case, but I don't think that one of them didn't work. Like you actually needed to turn interim results off, I believe, for discrete for it to work. Or it would act as I don't know. But anyways, so basically, I guess this leads me to okay, so we have 2 choices, right, at this point. And this happens like all the time in UI. There is no right answer here. We could either finish up the form, or we could go into the service and finish up and wire up the service to use these results. Um, but I don't even know, like, okay, how do we even do that? Update discrete. So it looks like, oh yeah, so no matter what, we update everything. So I think I want to do the form first. The form is going to be a bit tricky because we're probably going to have like checkboxes and stuff like that. Or maybe like, yeah, who the heck knows? But um, let's go with, I like to go to the Angular material website and just peruse the components. So let's peruse the components. See, it's probably like these checkbox. Yeah, so this is probably what we're going to want to do is checkbox. I think that's exactly what. You know, there's a, could do this, you know, like you could have it. What? Yeah? She's like, no, I want to do the service. Or do you want to do the service? Is that what's going on? Yeah? Or do you want to do the form? You want to do the form? Or do you want to do the service? Oh. See, it's kind of like when you're dealing with product managers right there. Like, then you ask them a question, they're like, oh crap, I gotta go. We're gonna have to have a meeting. We're gonna have this. We're gonna have to do that. But yeah, that would be kind of fun to have a slide toggle. Um, I can't believe she got all quiet like that. Um, I have worked with some fantastic project managers, and I've worked with some terrible project managers. What that is a hard job, especially the thing that would be really hard for that is like I've worked at a lot of places where like they're trying to build something, they needed it built. Like the organization needs this thing built, period, and they're willing to spend millions and millions and millions of dollars for it. And they'll have like a project manager and a couple project managers. They'll have like different people, and then they'll bring in like a code team, a consultants, or maybe they'll have their own developers do it, and the own developers will work on it for like 2 years, and like they get nowhere. They botch it, and then they bring in like an Accenture or someone like that, you know, and they have them do it for a couple years, and then they botch it. And so they've already spent millions of dollars on this. Now the project manager has lived through the development of this software and seen it evolve twice now. And then maybe they'll like say, okay, we're hiring consultants, but we want to manage them. And so we're bringing in some consultants and maybe a couple full-timers and blah, 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 blah. And that's what we're going to do. And then that project manager can't get it straight. Like, have we already built this? I have a memory of it being built, because they've already been, they're like in a repeat cycle, and man, they can get really screwed up. And then you'll just see their brains just turn to mush, you know, like they'll just be like emotionally just shattered. But anyway, so I'm going to go with the checkboxes here. And that will be that. But toggles would be nice. Toggles would be pretty cool, but I'm not going to. So let's go ahead and, where is the checkbox? There we go. And so you typically what you do is you'll look in here, you know, something like that. If you go to the examples, they'll quite often have something like this, like that. that you can, basic checkbox, like examples of different things you can do with your checkbox. And one option they do have is like this sort of three-way kind of thing where you kind of see it here, which we could do that on our um, interim results. Like say, hey, we're gonna go but actually I do want, like, for me personally, as using this tool, I want it to be very like, oh, this didn't work. Why did this? Oh, because I didn't check it. Okay, that's right. Okay. Like I want that bad experience. I want that lack of usability because I'm not trying to build a usability tool. I want a tool that like is like gives me a little slap on the hand when it doesn't, when I haven't configured it right. Um, but so when you go in here, you can hit this button. You can say view code, and then it kind of gives you three. Now, unfortunately, see, like in this, it is giving us like a bunch of them. So this is the one we want, something along the lines of this, but we want it tied to our form control. And so that adds another sort of layer of complexity. And then we know we want this checkbox module. And we may need to grab some CSS, but we'll see. We might have to implement the CSS, so we may not. It looks like they do the forms, but see, that's just for this one. So they mixed sort of this guy and this guy. Kind of been nice if they'd have just, let's see. Well, maybe this is a better one to use. So it's kind of cool because this one actually is using the form control like we're going to do. And we actually have already created our form control. So that's process locally and interim results. So, but we do need to pull in the mat checkbox module. And see, this is kind of an interesting thing that you should also keep in mind is that when you, if it's like this, if it's actual name like this in there, then your TypeScript will help you, your IDE. But if it's like a value, if it's an attribute that you set, so if it was like input type and then like you just had the word like a directive for mat checkbox, it won't help you, which that used to really throw me off. All right, so what do we want to do here? Okay, so it looks like we just do this, and I think I want it before or after max results, but before the grammars. So let's just do this. And we're just going to copy two of these. And I believe we can even do this. Like, this is always fun. Let's reload, pop up. See, we can like be like 23. Oh, it's weird. I was expecting it to actually update all of them. I don't know. I thought that was going to be cool, but it's not. Sometimes, I guess, depending on how you've coded it, it will update all of them for you. But anyways, I'm going to change my label for the first one to be interim results. Can't even remember how to spell it. Spelling is not my first language. I feel like I've seen that on a t-shirt or something, which I think is very funny. Or I might have just made it up just now. Interim results. Interim results. And then the name of the control. What I already have. I think I already have that in here. Interim results. it's not. I'm just gonna make it like that for now, though. And then the other one is process locally. And process locally, process locally, process locally. I feel like this should be okay. Like nothing should break. Maybe something will break, but I don't think so. Let's take a look at our console. Yeah, that is. So as you see, like we get it, but it's like not what we want. It's not a checkbox. All right, so now I'm just going to do this just so we can see the error. Because this error, I don't think is particularly useful. But maybe it is. Maybe now that I understand things a little better, it won't be as bad. I don't think we need this. Maybe we do. I don't know. Let's see how it looks, I guess. Interim. And we're just going to copy that whole thing down here. Man, I love coding. Like, I'll be honest with you, I know I've been doing a lot of complaining today. It's mostly because I just don't feel very well. But man, there's just like honestly nothing I'd rather be doing. I mean, I haven't taken my dogs to the creek, to our little lagoon area that we have. You know, walk through the park. There's like literally 20 soccer fields all side by side. And we walk through there, and then there's like a really beautiful creek that runs through it, and that's fun too. But this is nice. So our checkbox didn't show up, but I think we have an error probably. Yeah. So we have this runtime error, no value. Yeah, so that's really strange. No value accessor for form control name. I don't think that is the problem because we were not having that problem before. I think the problem is that I haven't imported, but maybe not. Maybe that is a different problem too. So let's go ahead and import our, let's see if I can do this, mat check box module. That's weird. Let's go to the TypeScript. Apparently there's a mat sudo. Oh, mat. Yeah. Looks like I was doing that right. Well, let's see. Was it the B? No. Let's see. Yeah, that's weird. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this whole thing. And having screwy, hard things sort of just be a pain in the butt is not at all rare for dealing with Angular material and forms and all that. So inspect. So I learned you could do like F12 today. I think I've done that before. Okay, so now it's completely screwed up. Is it not compiling? Okay. It is not a happy camper. I'm going to Control S. Restart this thing. Now, with Angular, like when you're like in Angular 2 and then they skip 3 and Angular 4 and 5, all of those having to restart was not rare at all. Hmm. Interim results, Matt checkbox. Oh, yeah, that was wild that it took that long. And now the checkboxes work. They're not, yeah, and they're unchecked, which is what they should be. So I guess we can test. Yeah, you just have to stay calm. I mean, things can get really weird when you're working with these things. And just staying calm, not letting yourself get too worked up. I like that look, though. I have to admit, I don't know what's going to happen when I get rid of the input. Yeah, so that worked really good. I like that. Very happy. Very happy. Happy, 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 happy. All right, so let's get rid of our inputs now and see that, like, if would I bet that there won't be any problems. That everything's gonna be just fine deleting the inputs. But um, I've been wrong about it. When I've seen weirder things, um, like it being like you can't use a mat label without an input or something. There's just no telling. Um, and then I'll probably see how it looks. If this works, then I'll see how it looks without the. Wow, that is crazy. Going off the trails on a crazy train. Yeah, so yeah, I was not happy about that. Um, so it's saying that it has to have an input. So maybe I can do this. Input. Can I do that? I don't know if I can do this or not. This may or may not work. I don't know. I just can't even begin to tell you how many hundreds of hours I've spent kind of playing around with stuff like this, trying to. Yeah, so that did not work. So that's kind of a bummer. So I have this code. So I should copy. I think I'm just going to copy and paste this directly. I would strongly think twice before you do that, like at work, because a lot of times your job may get very mad about you copying and pasting code into ChatGPT. This is a personal project, so it's fine. Um, I often will do something like this, but I will paste it into like Notepad and like genericize everything and paste it. But anyways, okay, so let's see if it gives us any hints. Inside a map formula, that's why I usually see this issue with layouts, alignment, and warnings. That's kind of a bummer. All right, so yeah, you can't use this form field thing, but it looks like I can make it a div and give it the class of full width. And it doesn't look like you use the label. So that's kind of a bummer too, because I like that. I like it. I know it's like a little bit of a duplication, but I liked the consistency. It's not the taste, it's the consistency. Let's see. I used to love Ozzy Osbourne when I was in high school. All right. Oh yeah, I still have the. And then, oh man, it'll be uh, like you'll have like someone that really wants to have that same look with their, that brown, the dark with the little label above there and all that. Like they want it that way, and that like, oh man, like if you have the juice, if you have enough a push, a pull, if they respect you enough in your organization, you've got to talk them out of it. But you also have to deal with the fact that there's a good chance that even if you do say, hey, you really shouldn't do this, once you start walking or start altering these layouts, Angular for the Angular material stuff, you really disable our ability to do upgrades and stuff because they can change the way these things work. And not only that, but they've really set it up for 508 compliance. And so once you start monkeying around with that stuff, you're very likely to go awry of the law and stuff like that. They may be like, oh, of course, we totally agree, blah, 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 and then just go to another developer and say, can you do this? Um, and I remember working for this one company. So, yeah. So I would like it to be more like the label to be up there and stuff like that. But I don't think it's a good idea. I worked for a company once where like they were it was a company that would send out a lot of emails, and then they would get responses, and they wanted to see the responses in the browser, in the application, in our Angular application. And by default, Angular disables HTML from being rendered, and JavaScript from running inside there. But like the responses, the people couldn't see the responses, so they were like, "Oh, can you turn that on?" I was like, "Oh my God, don't do it. Do not do it. You're going to be so sorry if you do this." Blah 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 blah. And they're like, "Okay, yeah, no, we get you. Oh, gotcha. Totally get it. I understand what you're saying." I was like, "Trust me, you do not want to do this." And they're like, "Yeah, no, I got you." And I'm like thinking, "Oh man, they're going to go to another developer, and they're going to have like some junior developer from India, and they're going to be like, because they can't. If you're a junior developer from India here on an H-1B, you just kind of have to do what you're told. You just don't have a lot of authority. It's very unfortunate because you should have the authority, but you don't. And they'll be like, and sure enough, they got another developer to go, a junior Indian developer on H1B to enable the HTML, and like literally an hour after our after they opened it up, we were hacked. Because those emails were opening up on our side of the network. So like, so anyways, yeah, you can say all you want. Don't alter, because it looks nice. It looks perfectly fine, but But I thought one of them was true. Wasn't one? Oh, okay. Just turn it back to true for the moment. True. There we go. So I think that works. We've got about probably about 65% of it done now. Basically, I just need to sort of copy whatever I did here. Um, Basically, I think on the change, I need to add, it looks like I need to have an update process locally. And then I'm guessing on the other side, in this service, I'm going to have a process locally and a interim results property and probably a signal and then a function. Yeah, the signal that I listen to here and a function, and then I need to set the values and then use them um, in the actual uh, recognition object. So that should do that. I think that was a pretty good session. I think probably finish it up tomorrow would be my guess, and then um, play around with it, see if this process locally thing is working or not working. Um, at least capture whether it's working or not in a video, so that'll be good. And then yeah, probably next Sunday back to let's see, we got about done. We got about Marty done. We got the link to the playlist done. That is so wild. Um, because I have the debugger up, that error goes up. So yeah, you got like 6-figure salary developers are supposed to be the best of the best of the best of the best, sir. Um, and if you have the debugger open, it just breaks when you go to the website. And then we need a video on like how to use the website that will go into the assets folder. I don't even know. I don't think they do assets folders. I don't think we have public folder now. So it goes into the public folder, and then here's just, I guess, basically a giant rant of things that why this may not work for you. You know, and there's probably going to be 3 or 4 pretty good ones in there, like very useful things. But anyways, I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I hope everyone has happy coding. Bye.